and your title and that stuff. Action.
Hello, my name is Jeanna Hondel, and I'm the owner of Ascension Construction Solutions.
Tell us about your business.
So my business is essentially, it provides construction management services, including inspection, project management, quality assurance, estimating and scheduling services for utility, heavy highway, water and wastewater facilities, and vertical building construction.
How did you get into the industry?
Well, I'm an engineer by education, licensed professional with a PE license, and essentially I've worked over 14 years in the industry, and after gaining that experience, I essentially decided that it was a good point in time for me to start a business of my own.
How long have you been in this industry?
A little over 14 years I've been in the industry of construction management for public and municipal and heavy infrastructure projects.
And what was your studies in college?
In college I studied civil engineering from Youngstown State University. Graduated from there, moved to Columbus, Ohio, and then received my Master's of Business Administration from Capital University.
And is that how you got into your current business?
I would definitely say that the experience I received with the different companies that I worked for previously definitely gave me a passion to continue to provide construction management services for the industry, but it just gave me a different viewpoint, essentially that allowed me to understand and really hone in how I wanted to provide these services, which is a little bit different than my competitors.
Okay. And tell me a little bit of difference between commercial and residential construction versus the type of construction your company does.
So my company does not do residential projects at all. We primarily do commercial, so commercial projects, for example, could be casinos or hotels. You have higher education buildings, utilities, so water infrastructure type projects, wastewater treatment facilities, water treatment facilities. Usually the dollar value of projects that we particularly represent are anywhere from $500,000 and up.
And is there any different, like current changes that are occurring, like different laws or things that will affect your business today that you didn't have to consider a few years back?
Well, luckily the things that are affecting my business now are positive. If you remember during the, I think it was the November election, there was a line item on there regarding recs and parks facilities and essentially how they were going to increase the taxes to help those parks. So one of the projects that I'm currently working on is with the Columbus Recs and Parks, and it'll be providing restoration to some components of the Franklin Park Conservatory. So things like that affect my business in a positive way.
And tell us, what's your goals for the next 3 years?
So my goals for my business for the next 3 years is obviously to grow. We launched July 2nd of 2017, and I'm hoping to have, by the end of 3 years, an additional 5 employees that we can create positions for permanently. I always say that I don't like to hire people for a project. I'm hiring them for careers, someplace that they can grow. So over the next 5 years, really honing in on our strategies and building our backlog that we can sustain additional personnel.
So how do you measure success?
I measure success by completing the goals. I have long-term goals, I have intermediate goals, and then the short-term. And every time I get to tick something off my checklist, I consider that a success. If you don't take the time to really, sometimes it's not always about the end point. You have to enjoy the journey of getting there. So really being proud of the small accomplishments that you make, I think is really a part of that whole success process as you go along.
And who's your role model?
I have to say I have two. My first would be my mother. We're from Warren, Ohio, Still Valley, and if you're familiar with the area, it was very heavy steel industry. And when all those steel mills closed, my mother was a person who worked at the steel mill. She lost her job. And she's super resourceful. She actually found a program that allowed her to go and get a college education at no cost to her. And she became a social worker. And now she's a victims advocate for the Warren Municipal Courts in Warren, Ohio. And that right there, at her age, there could have been a lot of things that she did, but she never gave up. And I think I get that mentality from her, that just because someone says no, you're really no worse off than you were before you asked. So I always think that she's a great role model, not only for me, but for my nieces and nephews. She's there for everybody, and she really enjoys the community. I think that's where I get my community aspect, always wanting to give back and help those less fortunate, or not even less fortunate, help those who may want to do the same thing that I'm doing. I think there's enough space in this industry to help others succeed as well. And then I think my second, my second role model, I would have to say my husband, just because he's definitely always there when there's times that I'm feeling like I can't do it, I can't achieve these goals, maybe the goals that I made were too lofty. He's there to give me that support and just be my backbone and say, hey, you can do this. And not only like just saying you can do it, but like give me reasons why I can do it. So I think my mother and my husband will be my biggest two role models.
And if you had any advice to give to your 16-year-old self, what would it be?
Never sell yourself short. Going back and talking to my 16-year-old self, I was stubborn and strong-willed, so I'd say keep that up. And whenever you think that you can't do something, try it anyway. And just because you fail does not make you a failure. That's just another way that you can determine success later on.
And tell us your favorite success story.
My favorite success story, starting my business. I mean, that's a big leap in Excel. So I like to say I'm my favorite success story. Going from a 6-figure job to working, for yourself, by yourself, learning the ins and outs of a business. I have my MBA, but there's really nothing like real world scenarios that prepares you for running a business. So getting a business up and off the ground and actually having projects and having people work for me, I think that's a great success.
So let's talk about the Women's Business Center. Tell me about the center and why did you join?
So the Women's Business Center is an area for entrepreneurs, people who have ideas about being an entrepreneur, to come and gather, especially women, and be a support network for one another. It's a location where you can find resources, whether it's someone reviewing your marketing materials or just someone to snowball ideas, and it's a safe place. You don't have to worry about someone taking ownership of an idea that you might have wanted to discuss with someone. So I'd like to say the Women's Business Center is a safe place to explore entrepreneurship, and definitely to create a space where you can feel confident in building in your future. And I joined the Women's Business, is that what you asked about joining, right? Okay. I joined the Women's Business Center. Really, I was researching, so when I started my business, as part of my business plan, I wanted to locate resources, really resources that that would help me and my business essentially try to get off the ground with the least amount of financial risk as possible. So there were a couple different programs that I found, or organizations, and the Women's Business Center was one. And once I met Ramona Mills, I just knew that this was definitely going to be a great fit. She has definitely provided services well beyond what the Business Center does. I think if you ever go to her and you say, hey, I need XYZ, if she doesn't know it, she's going to find a way to get it for you. And I think that's what the Women's Business Center is all about. It's us helping one another be great.
And what is your favorite part about the center?
My favorite part about the center is that there's people here for you. You don't have to feel like you're alone in your journey. So again, I'll refer back to Ramona. Like, I can call her, text her, hey, can you review this material? I have a proposal that I'm submitting on. Can you tell me or critique it, essentially? And those are things that, regardless of what time of day, someone from the Business Center is there to support you.
And if someone wanted to join the center, what would you tell them?
If someone wanted to join the Women's Business Center, I'd say, you know what, go ahead and do it. For one, there's tons of resources here. There's weekly events that you can look on their calendar that help you become better. Tax laws for small businesses, they have different speakers come in. All those things that you really can't get in a lump shell from somewhere else. So having that at your disposal, helping you find capital for your business are all reasons to join the Business Center. Also, you can get headshots and people can help you with your bio. You're just really, starting your business. So again, having those resources, I think, makes it a no-brainer to join this organization.
And give us one advice that you received from the Women's Business Center or Ramona or anyone else.
I think the best piece of advice is, you know what you're doing, be your own mentor and go for it. I think that's the best thing, because we're always looking for mentors, and sometimes we really can just reach in ourselves and be our own mentor. We know, what our goals are, what we want to do. It's good to have support, but just look into yourself sometimes, and you have it within you to achieve your greatness.
So do you have a model or creed that you live by?
Yeah, it's real basic. Ask. If they say no, you're no worse off than what you started.
It's a good way to end. So what we're going to do, you're going to do a closer, and you're going to say, thank you for, I never know how to do these closers.
Yeah.
Because everybody's all different. You can say, thank you for listening to my story. Say your name, your business, your title, and tell people where to find you.
I'm Jeanna Hondel. Oh, that's my maiden name. That happens from time to time. Sorry. I'm Jeanna Hondel, the owner of Ascension Construction Solutions, and I thank you for your time and listening to the story of how Ascension Construction Solutions was started.
Where can we find you?
You can find me at www.ascension-cs.com, by email at jhondel@ascension-cs.com, or 614-499-6924.